I think most constitutional scholars would look at the Constitution and say that this president cannot run for a third term. The longer answer is I have no doubt that Mr. Trump has attorneys looking for ways to looking for loopholes in the Constitution to try to get a third term. The 12th Amendment provides for what happens when a president dies or is otherwise unable to serve. So what I strongly suspect the mechanism is that he would run with Vance as the vice president on the ticket. Then Vance would probably resign, and he would then step up to the presidency at that point. Now, the 12th Amendment also says, I believe it's the very last sentence of it, that someone cannot be a vice president who is unqualified to be a president. It would be certainly controversial for President Trump to run as a vice president having already served 2 terms. But the 22nd Amendment essentially gives him 2 years. So I suspect what they would try to do is to argue that he could at least be president for 2 years, or might otherwise try to ignore the last sentence of the 12th Amendment and say that it doesn't apply to him in those circumstances. An interesting question is whether a president who resigns under no compulsion to do so is otherwise unable to serve. And could a resignation serve for that? Under this scenario, using the 12th Amendment, I don't believe Mr. Vance would be under such a compulsion to resign. So I think there's another argument to suggest that the 12th Amendment might not even apply. Under the clear language of the 22nd Amendment, a president can only be elected twice. And of course, President Trump is in his second term. He was elected in 2016, elected again in 2024. So I think he fits squarely within the limitations of the 22nd Amendment. So it would take some machinations, some scheming in order to find a loophole. And I think that's what Mr. Trump is talking about now when he's looking to run for a third term. Most constitutional professors would be hard pressed to find any way that it would be constitutional for any president to attempt to subvert the 22nd and the 12th Amendments in this way. So I think the argument is weak. I think it will be seen as such, and I don't think that even a fairly friendly Supreme Court would buy an argument like this.